Hi, this is Shojana Das from Movie Saints, and this is our very first online roundtable discussion in a series of discussions that Movie Saints would be conducting with filmmakers across the globe. Our topic of discussion tonight is an extended celebration of the Pride Month that we just completed. To celebrate this, I would like to invite our guests for tonight Arun Fulara, filmmaker of Sunday, Bitopi Datta, creator of Hi. Bitopi Datta, creator of Fireflies Jonaki Porua, Hi. And Tathagata Ghosh, filmmaker of Miss Man. Hello.
Hi Shazana, hello everyone.
Welcome everyone. We just celebrated the Pride Month. A lot has been discussed about the LGBTQ community. Today let's discuss about LGBTQ cinema. As filmmakers, do you think that the non-LGBTQ population is starting to accept queer cinema? Do you feel that more you make such films, the acceptance increases? Tata, would you like to start first?
Sure. Thank you, Shazana. Thanks, Arun. Thanks, Bitopi, and thanks to Movie Sense for putting together this discussion. Feels amazing to be here and talk about our films and interact with each other, interact with all of you who are watching this. So, I think, Shazana, you asked a very pertinent question. I do feel that films and cinema in general can give rise to conversations, and I think it is the strongest medium so far we know out there which can really create a dialogue, because I think it involves a lot of people from various artistic backgrounds and brings them together under one roof. So I think, and when issues like which deals with queer themes or any other important themes which deals with the study of human rights and all, they are talked about, they're addressed through films, it is bound to reach out to a lot of people, and I think that is the goal as filmmakers for us or storytellers. I think it was no exception for me when I wrote and directed and produced Miss Man as well, because I think I initially started out to tell a personal story, which triggered from a place after my friend was, dejected by his family when he came out to them. It started from there, but I think it became much more in the process with the inclusion of artists from the queer community from Kolkata, Orgho, who played the protagonist, Ratrish, Tomogno, wonderful people, brilliant actors. So they came together and made the film what it is. So I think I really owe a lot to them, and I think I learned about the community and the conflicts, the tension that comes with a story like this in the process. So it has been a really insightful journey for me as well, and I think that is why I also make films, to learn more about the issues or themes I am not aware of fully, and I think when a discussion like this happens, it is even better. So I think absolutely films are creating a dialogue, are creating a discourse, and it is helping to combat the dejections that are out there. So I feel it is extremely important that we are here and talking about this today.
Bitopi, would you like to go?
Yes, totally in agreement with what Tathagata said, actually. I think cinema is a very powerful medium to reach out, to the people anyways. By people, I mean general public, not only one section of people who read or say, so-called, by one section, when you talk about cinema on social issues, cinemas that, talk about marginalized identities, we only think that this sort of discourses most of the time remain limited to particular social spheres, the intellectual class, or say a social activist class, or say the scholars, and very less within the general public. I'm not saying that the awareness is not there, it's there, but then an organized or an informed narrative that needs to go out, to the masses or the general public is rarely found otherwise. So I think, but cinema is such a medium where you actually see what's happening in the world executed in front of you, feel through the characters, and I think feeling is an important part that art can usher in people, because feelings can be transformational. One reading a book may or may not transform you, but then when you see that happening and you actually relate to that story, that really proves transformational even to a non-reader. One need not be a reader to connect, to be able to connect to a character that way. So I think cinema is that platform, and that the same is about queer cinema. I think queer cinema is getting, it's getting more and more understood by the non-queer folks or the non-LGBTQIA plus population, because like what Tatha just said, it tried to tell a personal story. It's a human story. So I think that's also the same with our film, Firefly Jonaki Bora. Sorry, the filmmaker couldn't make it here today. I'm here to represent him. So a lot what I might be saying may or may not reflect all of the making. I mean, the story I may be flawed somewhere, but then on the imagination behind it and what exactly Fireflies wanted to tell is something that I can definitely discuss about. So so I was talking about how it and how the visualization and the story enacted on the screen actually comes out alive for people also from the non-queer community is for example, say when Fireflies actually was released in movie scenes, we actually got a lot of calls from the queer population as well as a non-queer population, as well as from the heterosexual, straight population. They said that, and the narrative was interesting because the dominant narrative that we actually got from the heteronormative or in a heterosexual straight community was that, oh, we never thought about this issue like this. We never knew, really. That was one. And there were actually videos which was actually uploaded by people apologizing for what they had for being homophobic in their past, in their personal lives, in their political life, and also and even a filmmaker actually coming out saying that, okay, apologizing for displaying or presenting queer characters in a comical way, not comical and disrespectful way. And this is exactly what was the intention of Fireflies Jonaki Bora, that reach out to the people, tell the story as it is in the context of Assam. No romanticization, nothing. What does happen to 90 people out of 100 people in Assam who identify as queer? Tell the story as it is. It was not about, there's nothing about sloganeering. It was not about giving out any message. It's just about showing, the reality as it is. And it really worked because, and we keep getting calls actually. And especially, and this film actually got screened by a lot of queer groups in Assam, and it happens to be the only, and they actually say it most of the time. I'm also part of the LGBTQI activist community here because I'm also involved in this issue for a long time now, since 2014. And they say that now at least we have a story to tell, to show how our lives has been living in a world that does not include us as an equal. So the idea of the queer narrative. So I think that's really, that is exactly what filmmakers intend to do, right? Like, tell a story and make that story have an impact. And the power of cinema is such that it's not that we do not know all these things happening in society all day in and out. We know, but then when we get an exclusive focus on an issue told in front of you, and like, okay, forget everything else, concentrate, see, this is what's happening on your door, inside your door, outside your door, and yet you sort of normalize it every day, you naturalize it, like it's something like not a big deal, then that really hits you back. And I think that's exactly what I think Arun's film or Tathagata's film or Firefly Jonaki Bora has actually done. Like, these are everyday stories, but we do not give them importance. So I think that's the power of cinema, and that's also the power of queer cinema. And the power of queer cinema is so much more because it tells a marginalized story. It is really not told, and it really unfolds an entirely different world in front of someone, and that really can be very transformational. I think that way is yes, totally.
Arun?
No, I agree completely with Bitopi. I think I think for me, I think cinema does two roles, which is one is to show a mirror to society, which is to reflect, what's happening around. And I think the other one, which is the transformational bit, which also happens because a mirror is, shown, to society. But there's also an additional impact, which is the ability to lead people, towards a future vision, by showcasing stories that are, that can reflect a different way of being, a different way of coming together, of different way of organizing, of different way of of how the society can actually be. And I think on both those fronts, queer cinema, by by more films being made, by more queer films being made, I think it has that impact. Like there is one, like watching Bitopi's film clearly like took me back to my childhood, and I've been on the other side, and we growing up in the 80s and 90s, I know that's how guys behave with anyone who did not fall within. I mean, they do that even today. I don't think that's changed in a lot of the country and a lot of the world also. But I think it's slowly, there is at least some realization and some change happening. I find that I have kind of obviously, I realized that I may have been, I was certainly on the wrong side, and so that clearly is changing, and that I think is because of sensitization, from the stories that one has seen coming from the community. And I think the bigger role which I feel with especially after seeing both Tatha's film and Bitopi's film, is I think the word is transformational. With queer cinema, unlike with a lot of other films which are about say class justice, or which are about other things, other issues, queer cinema I think is in terms of breaking boundaries and cages inside our head, is far more in that sense utopian. Like it's pushing us to break binary gender binaries that we've been fed, which is I think very 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 deep rooted across at least the modern world, and as such, by creating those images and stories where we are seeing queer characters proudly reclaiming their own sexuality and therefore their own stories, I think it has, I think, much more than other films which are fighting back against oppression. It has a much more transformational role, because if the day we are able to accept all kinds of sexual expressions and all kinds of gender expressions, I think we will not be the same species, I think, and automatically a lot of the other kind of oppressions will disappear. They have to, they have to, because this is such a transformational foundational way of looking at the world that modern so-called 21st 20th century industrial capitalism societies are so used to looking at the world in these through these lenses. I think the day that changes, a lot of the other shackles will automatically fall off, and therefore I think it is much more transformational, and which is where it's amazing that so many stories with queer characters are happening, and they are pushing the boundaries. I mean, just watching Tatha's film, I was like, I mean, it's not just in the way it is done, but also in kind of the emotions it is evoking, or in terms of the images that have been created, and so also with Bitopi's film, I think it just pushes you so much more to think about things, which I think is I mean, I have been aware for a while, and if it's happening to me, I'm sure if my friends who are slightly behind the curve were to see it, or my family were to see it, it would have much more significant effect on them, is what I feel so. Yeah, clearly.
Arun, is it something that you would like to ask Totha and Bitopi about their film?
I mean, I like very different films actually, but I am so much in awe of both the stories because of purely the fact which they've had actors from the community portray the characters, and that's so amazing, and that's also so far reaching in terms of because we're not used to seeing that in India. There is a lot of talk happening, and we've not seen that, and just putting someone like Benjamin in front of the camera as the lead character, as did Tatha with his lead actor, is in itself such a huge step forward, and so significant. So one, of course, is not a question, but like hats off to both of you. I have questions, but very technical ones. I don't know if we should get into the technical questions immediately, because I think there's so much more to talk about in terms of the story telling. Really, I mean, last couple of years, 2-3 years, I assisted on two really sub films with very darkish treatments of child rape, and Ajji and Bhosle, and for the last 2-3 years I've been kind of trying to avoid stories with dark themes, because I find it very difficult to watch, and which is why like Sunday is also very kind of a rosy, slightly dream tinted, rose tinted, romantic film, soft film. So I was a little nervous before starting to watch both the films, but really it's very difficult to
But I think
Right,
it's curious because you say that, of course, you assisted in Devashish, Ajji and Bhosle, but I think the world where your film is set in, Arun, is also kind of in that kind of world, though it's a very different story, as you said, through tinted glass and through that lens, and it creates a very nice feeling about life and love. But I think still it is set in that world, like small, what I'm saying, like in that
No,
zone.
it
So
is, it is that world, because obviously the sympathies, there's a lot of overlapping of worldviews, between me and Devashish, which is why I worked with him, and of course also got shaped by his worldview. So in terms of politics and worldview is very similar, but I think, and which probably I kind of like to talk about also, because your films are slightly different in treatment also. So the way I look at cinema today, and thanks to Devashish and having worked on those two films, my agenda, and there is a clear agenda which is not which is just beyond creative expression, is to put characters and stories out there which make people which kind of empower people, like they feel they feel is to actually have sort of role models out there for people to kind of relate to, and also in a way that draws people in, like to kind of lower the hurdles or lower the boundaries, so that the film becomes accessible, which is where the treatment kind of I'm very conscious that most of my stories are going to be very accessible to a lot of people, because I want them to come in and watch and feel good at the end of it. I mean, that is a very clear agenda, because I feel that and I clearly want to make very massy films, because that's I want my films to be seen by as many people as possible, but of course without necessarily diluting the politics of it, but I want to kind of, because that's the power of cinema. It's the art form of this century, right? I mean, it's what everybody watches. People are not reading books. People are not doing anything else. It's so easy to influence people, and I want to do that, and I hope that like films like Fireflies and Mistman are seen by everybody, and that's the day when the needle will move, right? Which is so. Yeah, I don't know what I'm rambling a little here, so please, Bitter Pete, Tatha, say something sensible.
No, not at all. I don't think you're rambling at all. But I was watching a film, and what struck me was one mundane activity that the person engages in, that he goes to, gets his hair done and his beard done, and the thing that you have done with the music, how it goes to the background and it comes to the foreground, and it is happy, it is, but then at the same time it has so many layers to it. If I actually look at it as I'm also an academic, work on gender and queer researcher, so that's how also most of my brain works that way, so I'm going to engage with it more that way. If Prakash was here, he would engage with it more creatively, but intellect part of it has so many layers to it, and it says, it's like that person, and he doesn't have a lot of dialogues either, so it's like he is like a living story. He has a story which is secret to him. He actually nurtured it very beautifully. It comes out and he puts it again back, right? And that's and the grace in it, at the same time the pain in it, the positivity in it, the hope in it, everything I could really sense. Like it's a 10-minute film, but I think that's very powerful about it. That's what I actually felt very powerful about your film, Arun, because the dailiness of it really like kind of strikes me. And when I watch Tatha's film, it like really gives me a push, like come, go, let's change the world. It's enough is enough. So it's like I watch your film and then I watch Tatha's film. It's like, okay, it's a continuation of a journey. Now enough of this, and then now we are going to claim it back, right? And then probably you put in Fireflies there, and you see that, okay, now once you are actually going into that path, see what are the steps to it and how one is going to get received by it. So, and that's absolutely so amazing. And also how Tatha's actually film talks about the idea of queerness in a very different language, that that the world is queer, how we love, no matter irrespective of sexualities, our love is always queer. It doesn't matter which gender or sexual orientation we come from, right? And that radicalizes the idea of love so much, and that is very rare. It's not seen in today's cinema, because the moment we say queer, we only think that it's only LGBTQIA focused. It's only about identities. No, the way idea of queer politics goes so much more. It's about thinking beyond the box. It's about transforming. It's about thinking what has never been given us to, imagining what has never been given us to, like which has never been allowed for us to imagine. We never had access to that part of the brain, that what would degendering or non-gendering the whole world would look like. Can we imagine a non-gender? We cannot, because it's everything is so gendered, right? And this is something that I always tell my students. If somebody from an outer solar system or outer space comes in and tries to connect with any of us and says, okay, this is your name, and if I tell later I'm a woman or a man, they would be like, okay, what does that mean? And we do not know how to imagine that, because the whole world is heterosexual. The structures are heterosexual, heteronormative, and the idea of queer goes beyond the idea of homonormativity also. It's about debunking all of that. So that so beautifully comes in both the films. Tatha's film, I think he explicitly makes that point. And also in your film, like, that person is also married, or that's what I sort of assume that, but at the same time, he has the story. Where do we even put sexuality into it, right? What is sexuality? at the end of. And then also I think in Paivla Junaki Purva, the character that I played, it doesn't talk about the woman's sexuality, and people are assuming that she might be a queer person or may not be, like whatever, like, but then and I think that deboxing just I think yours is 10 minutes, I think Tatha's is 20 minutes or so, but it has so many layers. 25 minutes, so many layers. I think Tatha, you have shown an entire universe in that 25 minutes. It's like it has a lot of it, a lot of things told in that small span of time. It shows the power of cinema, and I'm sure if one has to go as an academic, I can definitely confidently say that if anybody has to read about all this stuff, all these 3 films, including Prakash's film, one has to read volumes and volumes of books, which people wouldn't, because a lot of complicated concepts are being like, and that the ideas of queer theory and the idea of queer imagination, the idea of degendering, agendering, or it's complicated when you read it, but when you actually see it in people's life, it's so simple to understand. It's so simple to connect and empathize, right? So I think that's I really like loved both of films. I wanted to actually also tell you that I think I've met Tathagata once, like way back, but then after that also I've seen your film. Then I get to them. I really wanted to tell both of you that I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I think they're very intelligent and very sensitive films, and thank you for making this, and I'm definitely going to show these films to my students too, because it makes my job so much easier. And especially Arun's the character that the person plays, and I like the fact that person looks heterosexual, talks like a typical. I'm talking about stereotypical projection of gender, and that also breaks down a lot of, like Benjamin, we call him Benju with love. So Benjamin or Tatha's main lead, they come from the community, and I'm not to stereotype. I'm not attempting to stereotype, but then there's this consent that people have that people from the community behaves in a particular way, but not necessarily everybody behaves like Benjamin or Tatha's lead. But then there are also people like the lead in your film, Arun, right? So that. We need all of these films put together to talk about the idea of gender variance, the idea of how diverse, it would be. In the idea of queer would be.
And I think empathy is the word, right? That's what you want to create in the audience, like when they see, whether it's my film or Tatha's film or your film. That's like all the theories of the world will never. All the arguments, all the facts will never, convince people. But it's just this, empathy. If you can create in the hearts and minds of people who are watching, is what will, automatically make them see that it's not right, or this is, this is not right, or this is wrong. I think that I think is the job. I feel,
totally.
for all of us, for storytellers and for cinema. And I think, like you're rightly saying, I think with Tatha's film, the way I think the unboxing, like you're saying, happens. It is one thing to kind of take a story of a homosexual character and say that this guy loves this other guy, or he loves men, but then to kind of take it further and say that he also loves women. And why can't he do both? And why is it necessary that that if he is gay, then he should yes, some people do that, and some people do this, and some people can do that, and some people can do that. And like you're saying, why should our imagination be restricted? It's just because we've been brought up in a certain way, in cultures which have believed in certain ideas, that we are just stuck. Like if one were to start from scratch, like you're saying, if someone was to come from the outer space, none of these man-made rules, and yes, man-made, not woman-made, man-made structures would typically apply, and it is so comical and absurd at times that one has to convince people otherwise, because we are believing things because somebody just said so, and like we continue to believe, and there's so much effort and so much pain that people have to go through, like watching Bitopis and even Tata's film, so much pain that people have to go through, fighting against these prejudices and biases, and entire lives been shattered, and childhoods lost just because mindless prejudices that we just carry without thinking. So it's crazy.
And I think that is the reason why I actually started, the fact that you said that so this is something which Orgo, when I read the script out to him for the first time, who played the protagonist in Mistman, he said actually, he identified, the first thing he said, he related to the character a lot, and that's why I decided to come on board, because essentially he's not an actor. I think Benjamin also, his first time he acted in the film, right? Because
Right.
So correct. So I think when Orgo read the script, he also said that so we have a term in Bengali which we call which we use called Meli Purush, which means a man who behaves like a woman. So it's a very stereotypical word used by people in the society. And certainly there is a boxing, and there is immediate labeling that happens, that this person, this girlish boy, will definitely going to love a man only, and they make assumptions that this person is actually a trans woman for no reason. The labeling is wrong. He actually might be a man, like he might identify himself as a man and not necessarily as a trans woman. It's very internal thing. And I think those are the things I wanted to address, because genuinely I was curious myself as a person. Like, what if this thing happens? If this happens in reality, what will happen? And that's when I started writing it, and I genuinely wanted to make the film because I wanted to explore those answers, because I didn't have the answer then. And I think similar things happened to me when I saw Sunday and Fireflies as well, because when I actually made Orgo was the Sunday, and I saw it last year at a festival. And when Orgo saw it, he's a school teacher, and he has to take the local train to travel to his school. He teaches life sciences actually, and he said that every day when I go to train, and we all know that in Indian trains, local trains, the most it's actually a world on its own. So many people come together in those half an hour journey or whatever. And he said that when I was sitting there, and he related to Shrikant Yadav's character a lot, because he said that every day when I go to work as well, there is this man whom I meet every day, and he looks at me in a certain way. Now I might read it as a very creepy look, but it's not. I can feel that there is some strange sadness within that person. And when he saw Sunday, he said that he related to that person with Shrikant Yadav's character actually. And I think that is what it is, so we can understand that characters like this are so common and so real, and I think we definitely don't look at people like that. So I think that's the magic of films also. With Fireflies also, obviously, I think it again actually, I responded to the film really well, because I think it is, there is a line in Mistman where which I heard from a photographer, where Atrish actually says that gender is like a sari. You just wear it and it can fit in. So I mean, this concept of fluidity was explored so well also, and Benjamin pulled it off so brilliantly. And I think the themes like this run. It's a world which is close knit, but yet it's so spread out. And I think as filmmakers also we need to, we really need to bring the focus and make it very close knit as it is, and not leaving out the parts here and there. It's one piece. It's one thing, and we need to it needs to be all there and make so that people can understand. So I think the themes that this film explores are very universal that way, and I think it goes down really well if you look at the world in very differently. Because I think when I travel on a train, I might also encounter a person like that, and I might say that that person might have bad intentions, but
Right.
actually that person might be vulnerable as well, which we see in Sunday. So and he might not be what we think him to be. So I think stereotypes actually grow within us from varied thoughts, and not only from boxing a person in a certain gender or certain sexuality. So I think all these vices of the world are also so, like it just it just pulls the vices are so interrelated to this misconception as well, to these thoughts that this person, the fact that the person might fall in love with a man, that is not accepted because we label that person as someone evil or someone bad. So I think it's all
Right.
so these stereotypes really need to go, and that is only when someone asked me that so the film is getting this a certain response, how do you feel about it? And I said that I think I will really be happy the day when I don't have to make a film like Miss Man, or I don't have to make a film like the films that I do, or The Meet, or The Scapegoat, because essentially the day I stop making films like that, I know that we have made a progress. So yeah.
Right. But also, Tadha, and I'm sorry I hadn't watched it for a long time, and precisely because I sense that it will be a difficult watch, and I watched it recently, and I think it's and I haven't said that till now, but I think it's a masterpiece in terms of how you've done it, because, and I want to know how if it was written the way it's edited, because it's such a it's so cinematic in the way the story is stitched together. It's not like a very. So I'm just curious as to how you whether you wrote it exactly like how it is edited, or did it kind of
No.
evolve on the edit table, because it's so cinematic in the way it jumps, but the cuts are so amazing, and it's so beautiful. So I mean,
Actually
hats off on
not.
two fronts. Hats off on, I think, at least two fronts for now, clearly. But yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, go on.
Thanks for the kind words. And I think I think no, it was not written at all like the way you see in the film. It is very different. I mean, one cannot. I don't know if one can write like that. I mean, at least on paper. I mean, there were certain visual cues maybe. But I think I didn't write like a lot of that. The film is actually on paper. The film is very linear, as a matter of fact.
Right.
It's just like many of those who have seen the film know that like it just in the film jumps back in forth in time and all that. But I think in the on paper it is just. Like the scenes, like the father comes inside the room, sees the guy in sari, then he meets the sex worker on the bus stand, and then he comes to the city and all that. But those montage, those visuals were not there at all. It happened that when I met Argo, and after I cast him in the lead, then actually those visuals came to my mind. So, and I shot the film because both of us had day jobs, and we shot the film over a month on the weekends actually. And since there was a space between the weekend and we were shooting every Sunday, it was like I had a lot of time to reflect and think about it, look at the rushes and go back and forth. And I think the main thing it developed, I was actually chatting with Argo before the shoot. Like over a month, I sat on many afternoons with him, and just we were going through this, not much with the script. It was going through our lives, and I was trying to understand him as a person, most importantly. And that's why I am not the kind of a person who takes auditions for any part so far, because I think in auditions, how much can you know a certain person? You can just give him some lines, he or she will perform it. And that's about it. But I think getting to know an artist is very important, and I think that is what I tried to do. And that's why I didn't have to workshop much with him at all. It was just that like I made him aware of the technicalities associated with filmmaking. This is the light, and he was so the first day was very difficult because I thought that I made a mistake by casting him, because he was not able to understand why I was taking a shot from two different angles. Like he said that I just performed it. Why do I need to do it again? Very, like it's not that he was reluctant to give a shot, but it's just he was confused that why will this happen? It's very trivial for us, but it is not so trivial for a person who has never acted, leave alone films or stage. So I think it took the bus stand scene was the first scene we shot on the very first day of shoot, where he meets Payal, who played the sex worker in the film. And I think it was very difficult, and that I thought that I was shooting it in my village, all those parts which deals with that, and it was really difficult, because I thought that I will get done with it. The bus stand scene is very small, as you know, it's just like hardly a minute. The scene is hardly below a minute, but it took us till lunchtime to shoot that entire scene. So we just ran out of time, and it was because of that. But after the first day, actually, he got a grip on how filmmaking is done. And I think I realized then that probably I should have done some workshops and with blocking and all that, because I didn't have a chat at all about anything related to filmmaking. It's just that we chatted about our lives and all that. And I think it's good that I didn't. It was very spontaneous that way. I think if I would have rehearsed with Argo for a person who is acting for the first time, it would not be spontaneous. And that's why we're usually wrapping up after 1 or 2 takes. Most are first takes or second takes maximum. If there was any wrong with the blocking, so I would go and ask for another take. But I think all the actors were in absolutely brilliant sync. Because other than Argo, Ratrisha, Tomogno, the kid was very bright as well. I think one of the brightest kids I've ever worked with. And other actors, Bimal, Payal, I know them from long, and they have been collaborating with me for long. And so I know them really well as a person. And I think it's interesting that when a non-actor, as both of you might know, when you cast a non-actor against a professional, it really, it's a very interesting exercise, because both of them complement each other very wonderfully. Because if it's a professional actor and another professional actor in a scene, usually the one of them can try to dominate the other, because it's essentially an actor's instinct that I will not try to let the other people outdo me. But I think because that happened, and the professional actor was very confident that this won't happen, because he's an amateur, and the amateur is like, what more can I do? I mean, I don't care if this film is a failure, nothing will happen to me. I have my own life to go back to. So I think it's very interesting that it happened. So there was no such competition, quote unquote, per se. So it really worked out differently, and I think.
But Argo has never acted before, even in plays and stuff. No,
nothing. No, he had zero idea about filmmaking.
Doesn't come across at all. I mean,
it was very natural. I think it felt like I was shooting a documentary. It felt like it was so real, and he actually inspired me. So when I was shooting in the village, or I was shooting in the city, and I saw Argo just standing by the window, and we lit up the room for some other take, and he was standing. I just told my cinematographer Tuhin to roll the camera and just take this shot. I even didn't think that I will use this montage actually. Right. I thought that I will just take it and keep it for myself, because I think there was something very pure in that moment. And that's why I filmed it. But in the edit, by the time I went to edit with Amir, who edited the film, I was very sure how the film will look. So actually, Miss Man was edited very fast. We didn't have much time, and the first draft of the edit was almost the final draft, because I was so sure about the film that we didn't have. And Amir was a little confused that whether people will get it or not, whether people will understand, because we did, but across different screenings, whether people will understand the film and participate in the film as an audience. But I think nobody said anything, and the people understood the film everywhere we screened. Even last year, when I went to my village for the Durga Puja, when I showed it to some uncle and aunt there, they also responded to the film very efficiently. And they are someone who consumes very, mainstream Bengali films.
What was their reaction? What was
it was great, actually, and they understood it. They were so emotionally invested in the film, and that really baffled me. And I said that this is not an usual film that people should respond to. I was very surprised. I thought that they will like see and they will be very restless or fiddle with their phone and everything while watching. But I observe, like from the outside the room, I was watching them as their reactions, and they were into the film. So and when that happened, I know that they are a very massy audience. When they responded to the film that way, I saw that this is working. And actually, I had a plan which which got affected by the pandemic. That after maybe this pandemic ended, I want to take some of these films, maybe Sunday or Fireflies also, Miss Man, The Meet, and take it to those villages and screen films there, because I think I know that maybe the people who are watching this show, or people who live in the city, they were aware of cinematic form in some way, because it has become accessible. People watch videos on YouTube and all that, but those people still watch TV soaps, daily soaps on television. And I think if I can show it to them, and if they respond to these films, then only a change can happen. Because essentially I'm talking about a person who is from the rural space, who is coming to the city. And if I show them their story, some other Orgho, some other Mano, the protagonist in the film, might feel confident that if this is happening, like Bitopi said, that many people texted her after watching Fireflies, and that can happen. That person can get up and go back in to their houses and can tell their parents that I am like this person in the film. So I think the film will complete its purpose for what it is meant. I think still right now the film has not achieved its full purpose, even after many screenings. I am yet to achieve that purpose with this film after I screen the film to them. So yeah.
So, but Bitopi, your film is screened in Assam?
Yes, that's exactly what we are planning. That the idea was actually to take it to. I mean, when this film Fireflies was actually planned, it was planned with this primary purpose, that this is going to, no matter if it plays in festivals or not, but it is definitely going to play in each and every corner of Assam, and especially in the rural areas, because people need to watch these films.
Absolutely.
More than anybody else, right? But then this pandemic hit in, and we haven't been able to do that yet. But then that's definitely there to do it. But then what has actually happened is that movements actually work in very different ways, right? And we do not know what is the initial point of a movement. One small angara can actually build up a fire or something, right? So after Fireflies, a lot of the short films and also music videos have come to be made,
and
it's actually reaching out to the corners of the state, and more. So some media, the idea is to flood the popular media, right, with queer content, and that's happening. So that is, I think, one success of Fireflies, which is actually, which has actually happened, and that more and more queer content are being made. Number one, and number two is that exactly what Tatha said was also our experience. Like, we never expected support from some people, and we got overwhelming. It was so strange, and it was so overwhelming. It was nice, and it was like, we didn't expect that. We thought probably these guys would not like it. This guy would probably hate us for doing this, for making such a film. Or probably these guys are very homophobic. They will not understand it, or they will probably just discard it. But then they understood it, and they understood it only for the fact that it's a reality that happens in and out in the state, and people cannot deny it. It's just that they have never really given their heart into understanding it, because it was never told to them that what's happening is wrong. So that's also the thing. Sometimes homophobia is there. See, hatred against women is there. Patriarchy is there, and many of the structures of discrimination also perpetuate because nobody really questions them in a way that makes them really involved in that process.
No, also,
also
the hatred is mindless, in the sense that people are not thinking. Like,
they are not thinking.
They're just repeating behaviors that they have seen. So if there are
Very
10
true.
people in the group, somebody is kind of going to catcall, the other people are just sitting quietly, and tomorrow some younger kid who is seeing it will do the same, because that's what that's what a guy is supposed to do, right? And I mean, I can't imagine anybody hating your film. Like it is inhuman probably to hate that character, because that character is so sympathetic. I think there is no, I mean, the film has been made with such a beautiful in a beautiful way, where you're not trying to manipulate the audience also by using the camera or the background sound or music in a way which is overtly, you're just showing and all of us know enough people like your character around. We've all grown up with people like the character, and we've all had our roles to play as as people who've either teased or been allies or kept quiet when somebody else is doing it. I can't think of anyone hating on your film and your character.
This point that you exactly made right now. One person actually made a video saying that I have been this person, the person who actually bullies the protagonist. I was this person in the past, and I could have probably fallen to that level, and I didn't know how wrong I was, because I had only this lens of actually, and that person actually owns it up and actually makes a video and says sorry for being the bad.
And I think that actually happened also in one of our shoots when we were shooting in North Kolkata, which is a very conservative place along the Ganges, like the banks of Ganges. There is a place called Aheri Tola in North Kolkata where we shot a part of the film, I think it's a place, it's a very shady place that way. And I remembered that while we were shooting on the Ghat, where actually Ratrish was singing that song, and I remember that we were shooting something, like taking some other shot, and suddenly there were 2-3, young boys who were watching a shoot, and they were observing Orgho and Ratrish for a long time, and Orgho was very concerned that how the shoot will go, because she was wearing a sari and Ratrish was there, but we didn't have much hassle except for this one small incident, which was really wonderful, which is really significant, because while actually the shot we were giving the other shot, suddenly I heard those couple of those young boys looking at Ratrish. Ratrish is the woman who played the trans woman mentor character, as you might know. They called her, "Hey, look, there is a she-male there," and they laughed about it, and I could hear it. I tried to ignore that, because for me the sun was setting and we need to get the shots done, and my filmmaker mind was working more, and I couldn't say much. And Ratrish looked at me once, and I said that just don't give a damn to them, just let us finish the work. But she is a very strong woman, and she she doesn't take any shit. So she called them, and they thought that they've had it, and they were still laughing, and one of them came to her, and then instead of scolding them, she sat down with them and just asked them that, "Do you know what a she-male means? What that he used?" They said that no, and then she actually made them understand the meaning of that word and why it is improper to use it. So a sensitization happened on spot. And after that, and she is a wonderful singer, she sang the Bengali song in the film as well, and she has a small YouTube channel which is growing also, both those guys subscribed to that channel then and there, and they became her fans in a way. So that was really cathartic for us to observe. And that is how you do it. If she would have shouted at them and said different things might not have happened that way, So I think, and I think mostly, as you said, Arun, that it's absurd that how someone can hate a film like Firefly. It's absolutely true. I think it's also because it doesn't come from hatred. Also, fully, it comes from a place of denial. which I thought that like when I said that one of those uncles last year when I showed him Miss Man, I thought that he will close the laptop and say that again those like those kind of people I'm seeing on screen. I will not watch the story, and throw up his hands and just surrender. But that didn't happen. And after the screening was over, he said that it's so painful to see this journey. So he was, as Bitopi said, that many of them are he was homophobic. I know that for a fact. I didn't tell him anything about the film. I just said that this is the film I have made, you watch it. I don't, like nothing. And he responded very well. Similarly, I was very nervous when I showed them The Meat also, because like that's a belt which is increasingly becoming very extremist. Right wing are rising slowly in that belt. But thankfully I said that they will dismiss that film as well. So both these films they responded very strongly to. So I was very confident and sure that interaction should happen with the film and the viewer like a human being. Like I'm just watching it as a person and not as a supporter of a certain party, supporter of certain belief, supporter of certain ideology. Is that I'm a human being. I'm watching it and I'm watching human emotions unfold on screen. That is it. And let the film dictate. So I think this is how actually I approached, and I was successful. So I'm very curious to see, curious to do a screening in my village and show these people the film, because they are the ones, like we have these jatras we call. It's like a theater, very massy theater, not a theater per se exactly, but it's like a theater where the actors go, they sing songs and they do some dancing on stage, and those audience are very, like they respond really strongly to these shows. If an actor doesn't show up on time, they will hurl chappals at the stage. So they are very emotional audience. So I really want to take these films to them and show them, because if they respond really well, we still know how to behave per se in a screening. But they will like they are watching a film in KT Galaxy in Mumbai and watching how people throw money and they cheer for a film, they clap. And I think I really want to show the film to that audience in the village henceforth, because I think it will be very interesting to check out, and the discourse will take. They will not really. I cannot delve with them in a discourse like the way we are doing, but probably in a more basic way. But I think that is important, because let the film have the impact on them the way it should, and instead of me thrusting them with things like this is how it is, this is how it is, let them understand
that's never going to work. Like I think that's never going to work, which is where the power of cinema is, right? Power of art actually, and cinema is such a easy to consume and such a powerful medium that no wonder both your films have got kind of response. I mean, it's.
I think that is the kind of like more than, because I know. I mean, I actually saw. I mean, probably all of us have seen a very like I'll not name the film, but I think we saw a film, very recent film, which dealt with the hanging and rape of this Dalit woman. It's a very mainstream film, mainstream Hindi film. Played by a very mainstream movie actor, big actor. And I think there were criticism about the film that they were probably exploiting those emotions, it was not played by, it was mostly played by, the presentation was not right in that film. But I think the film actor during promotions, the lead actor, who is very popular, mainstream A-list actor, he said that, he said it to a very popular film critic who was taking the interview. He said that I am doing this film in the way it is, like the massy, like mainstream potboiler. I'm giving this film this treatment so that people who do not talk about these issues, they also talk about it. Because I know that if I show it to my friends, they will talk about it anyway, and they do it irrespective of make the film or not. So I think I agree with him in that context. Whether the film is good or bad, that's a different discussion. But I think I really agree with this sentiment per se, because I think, as you said, Arun, that you would love to make massive films, and I think addressing these issues, Sunday or your next film or Bitopi's film, Jonaki Porua, I think that's how people will, people will talk about this.
I was actually, as you have
not compromising it obviously on the aesthetics and the storytelling part of it. So
the interesting is about when this really happens in Assam a lot. I think it happens in many actually other places across the world, because we may think that geographies are really different in terms of their stories, but then at the same time they are also very similar. I mean, somewhere we are also stuck at the same place also. See, the thing is about one thing is when somebody comes out and then that person faces resistance. One thing is about invisibility, right? It's about the fact that if I'm a queer person and nobody knows that I exist, even if I come out, it doesn't make any difference because people do not understand it. Even that's even a level behind even coming out. Even facing the resistance means that at least there is some acknowledgement, not in a nice way, but at least people know that there's something called queer identities in there, and which people try to resist, and that's still, even that resistance is starting of a dialogue. It's starting of a movement. It's starting of a change. But what if even if you come out and nobody understands you? The idea of invisibility, I think that was also something that was in our mind. I mean, especially in the director's mind, when it happens so often in Assam, is that, I mean, so frequently, is that even if you come out, it's not really come out. It's not a coming out because people do not understand it. It may be your own parents. So there's a lot of affection involved. You will be loved no matter what. But then there is no understanding. There is no really recognition of your identity the way you want it to be, right? And I think that is even a deeper tragedy. That मैं बोल रही हूँ, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, फिर भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. It's like it's so what does reclaiming oneself or self-reclaiming means when nobody even understands, when the issue has got no visibility at all. So when this actually movement started in and also and which is why, like, see, stereotypes actually make now a narrative is actually getting built in the Northeast about queer identities or LGBTQIA rights. But then see, even after Fireflies is released, many people ask, oh, Benjamin has done such a good job. Is it because he's from the community? I'm like, no. See how stereotypes actually make their way in. I mean, when you wouldn't ask this if this was played by a straight actor. You do not ask a straight actor if he's playing a straight role nicely because he's straight. You ask this to a queer actor. And so the idea that the sexual identity supersedes everything else. And which is why we have repeatedly told the press that, is it did you cast him because he's from the village or he's only from the community? I mean, that the idea of the stand that we wanted to take on representation was there. I mean, we did it very consciously. But then it doesn't mean that Benjamin was taken only because he is from the rurality and he is only a queer person. The first point was that he's a very good actor. The second was that he is from the community, right? And full stop. And third is, no, we are not going to do any social service by, casting a person from the community. I mean, see, and I was like amazed because heteropatriarchy is such a thing. It's like capitalism. It always finds a way in and to fit in its own narrative, fit its own narrative into the most subversive thing that you ever want to do. And that is exactly what you're trying to do. So it's like, even if you sometimes engage in a dialogue, these questions come in as very affirmative, supportive questions, but actually they are not. And the people asking these questions also do not know that this is not support. It is belittling, the movement in their own way. So that really puts us in a question, like, when you talk about dialogue, it's how do dialogues happen? Like, and sometimes you may actually say that, oh, this is discrimination against anybody on the basis of identity, caste, creed, religion, gender, sexuality is bad. That discussion is still easy to do. But then what happens in situations like that when you know that someone who is an ally, who identifies himself or herself as an ally, asks questions like this, then where do you even start? Like, do we say that, no, it doesn't matter. We casted him because he's a very good actor. He is naturally talented. Doesn't matter if this is his first time acting in front of the camera. He auditioned and he did a workshopping and he was totally naturally in front of the camera. He was totally camera comfortable. He just naturally gifted, I would say. Then say, okay, yes, that's the main thing. So it doesn't matter that he is from the community. No, that matters too, right? But see, why there need not be a competition between these two narratives? Right? We never have this discussions when it comes to heterosexual cinema, when it comes to, say, macho cinema, where the hero is a big macho. Nobody questions, right? So see, even telling alternate stories. I really hate the word alternates, but marginalized stories. See, how does a filmmaker really navigate through to this different very complicated terrains, very slippery terrains, that you lose you lose out your hands, like you just let it go for a second, it's like gone, it's appropriated, right? So you really have to watch, like sit on the bench and say that no, do not do that, do not say it about Benjamin or Fireflies, do not talk about representation in that thing. Like, I'm just talk about it the way it is. Why do you have to like bring in heteropatriarchy everywhere? And it's a structural problem, and it basically comes from the fact that it's when you directly jump from invisibility to acceptance, sometimes the resistance is also important, because when you resist, you exactly know what are the nuances, what is the person saying, what is the community saying, what is this person saying, the voice really needs to really come out. So it's so important to just put your foot down and just say that. So as Tathagata was also actually saying about the question of denial, invisibility. I was actually thinking about, like, it really happens a lot. I think everywhere. And there's this very interesting series on or I think on Amazon Prime itself, where the daughter actually comes out and the mother is very supportive, but really does not know how to act in a particular way, despite her best interest, is because she's not really educated, although she tries to educate. So that shows that thing. Yeah, just like I think this is a very important point also to just think about when you think about queer cinema, because the narrative that we are trying to create, to what levels does it engage, and does it really comes out strongly enough to challenge everything, all of it together, and says that make space for all people the way they want, not how you want to see it.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, Arun.
More films, queer films are made, the more different kinds of stories will attacking the issue from different angles, and the more sensitization I think will happen, and I think it's bound to happen, because that's where the momentum is now. I think the last 2-3 years there's been like clearly a lot of short films I know are being made, a lot of feature films also with the sensibilities, even in mainstream, kind of slightly more nuanced and more aware of stepping on minefields for their own reasons, but therefore forced to kind of navigate it, like you're saying, and that's going to happen. And also what I see is also that there's the might of capitalism is now behind the zeitgeist is there. A lot of brands want to appropriate, so there is this a lot of money that is which is good. So it's up to the community and filmmakers who want to kind of make meaningful cinema in that, to kind of use this for the good purpose, I think, which is to manipulate the system as it exists, and get those stories out there. And I'm hoping that there are more filmmakers from the community who are making their own stories. It's
very true.
A lot of allies, let's say, or a lot of people not from the community are making, like people like us. But I think the more people from the community make, I think and I think it's going to happen. I think the next 5 years, and things can change today, especially in today's times. Things can change in a really short span of time, like very dramatically. That's the kind of world we are in. And I mean, the amount of content, like you're saying, queer content on social media, on not just the films, but generally in media, is just kind of blown. Obviously, a lot of work still to be done, but I think the momentum is there. So I don't think, I don't doubt it, and I'm like, which is where I think more radical stories, or ways of telling stories need to happen to just keep pushing the boundary. Yeah.
Right. And I was so wrapped in attention that I listened to your stories rather than asking any questions. It was such a wonderful session, and we are hoping that we see more of LGBTQ population in mainstream cinema, and most importantly, represented without any stereotype. Thank you everybody for your precious time and coming here and discuss about this. And we'll come back with more such discussions in the future. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take
Bye,
care.
bye, Vidruti.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.